Well, having trouble with my audio. Hope it's working. Let me turn, make sure that everything's up. Okay, so it looks like we're going. Looks like we have it. I guess I'm the last person anybody expected to see, and this isn't about silver, but I might as well give you my quick silver update. Of course, I've been buying some silver as of late. Picked up a whole bunch more dimes, not a whole bunch, a couple of hundred dimes. Picked up a few Morgans, a handful of Morgans. I got ordered 15 antelopes and got them, uh, and a couple of things here and there. Anyway, a couple of eagles. And a couple other things, but not a whole lot. A couple $1,000 worth of shit, and that's it. But and silver seems to every time they try to knock it down, and everybody has all these shorts to cover, it seems to bounce back and holding its position much stronger. But what this is about this damn election, and about these debates, and about the fact nobody will talk about the real story of what the hell is going on. So this sounds stupid, and it is, and nobody knows about it. This is my shall we say coming out in the sense that I've been trying to declare myself a writing candidate for the second congressional district of New Jersey for the congressional seat. Uh, Now, what happens is I can't get a hold of the newspapers. None of the newspapers will come in and cover it. Uh, they're afraid it's just a political, just some nutcase stunt, and which it in fact is. But it's because in this district we have a congressman uh, that Frank Lobiondo that promised when he was first elected that he was for term limits and he'd only stand for election 3 times, and this is his 9th consecutive election, and he's such a shoe-in that the Democratic opponent, she's only interested in going around talking to Democrats, and she did offer to debate, and of course he don't want to debate because he could screw up, and his usual landslide might come down to 65% instead of 70% or whatever. But the problem with this guy Lobiondo is that he signed the Grover Norquist pledge not to raise taxes on anybody for anything. And the problem with that is that he took an oath to the Constitution, not to Grover Norquist. And in that oath, the only thing that you're responsible to is to abide by and to honor the Constitution. Now, there's a telescoped inference there also that what he should do is do what's in the best interest of the country, not what's in the best interest of Grover Norquist. Now, I think that this approaches sedition, and that that's only a step below treason, and that he was elected to vote his conscience on these various issues and not to relinquish his vote to Grover Norquist. Now, Grover Norquist goes on television all the time and just threatens Republicans in the House and in the Senate that if they don't sign the pledge, then they will be cut off from all Republican funds in the next election, and that they will have a Republican opponent in the next election in the primary, and that he will receive all the money and he will sign the pledge, and these people will be out of office. Well, then why even bother showing up? Just every time there's a roll call, just say, well, who signed the pledge? And if there's 200 Republicans or 220 in the House of Representatives, then just say, oh, 220 Grover Norquist. Just push the button for Grover Norquist. Now, this to me is not only unconstitutional, it should be unethical and it should be illegal because you are supposed to go and approach every law and look at it individually and see if it's best for the country and then best for your district and so forth and so on. But by relinquishing your right to vote on any of these things, by having your vote predetermined, then you might as well not be there. But no one elected Grover Norquist to a damn thing. And you seldom see him, you see any of the networks push these people and ask them if they voted, if they signed the pledge, and if they did, why? And can they be so scared of one person that each one individually is so scared that they're afraid of all the others, that maybe all of them ought to get together and take a pledge that they'll take a pledge to no one, no Grover Norquist, no Republican Party, that they will do what they're sworn to do, and that is uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Now that brings us to the National Defense Authorization Act. Now, the National Defense Authorization Act gives the president the right to go in and arrest anyone, not arrest is a legal term. There is no legal thing behind what he has the right to do. The Congress gave him the right to seize any individual in or out of this country. But the particular new part is that the military, can come into your house. They could come into my house tonight, pluck me out of here, never have to appear before a judge. No one knows where I'm at. They can detain me forever. Habeas corpus is out the window. So we have, from the Magna Carta to now, the use of habeas corpus, the most basic right. And what this National Defense Authorization Act does, and everybody that signed it themselves, or I mean everybody that voted for the bill, should be tossed out of office, because what they did is they did away with the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendments. Now you cannot do away with an amendment without a 3/4 vote of Congress and a 2/3 vote from the various state legislatures. That's the only way you can you can eliminate an amendment. Now let me just give you just a little quick rundown on these, so everybody understands where I'm coming from. The Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their person, house, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by an oath affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or thing to be seized. That's the Fourth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on the presentment of an indictment of a grand jury. Okay? Now, an indictment of a grand jury. The Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusations, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. So there's the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment blown right out the window. And yet Obama said he wasn't going to sign it, and he signed it. This is the kind of government that is just nipping and nipping and nipping away. Excuse me. Nipping away at the Bill of Rights. Then on top of that, they passed a law that allows drones to fly over this country. That was the first step. Then they got the FAA to pass a law which is allowing airspace for 30,000 drones to fly in this country. So that means every local government will want a couple. Every state police will want some. The governor will want some for who knows what. And anybody can be spied on. And anybody can not only be spied on, but they can come down now and just snatch you up. There was a little over a month ago, there was a drone that took off from Maryland and crashed. I forget whether it was in Virginia or Maryland. And it hardly made the news. It made the local news because it made a newspaper. But you didn't hear about it. You didn't hear about it on ABC, CBS, or NBC. Now here's another little interesting thing. Now they say they're going to basically leave Medicare alone, the Republicans. They're not going to leave Medicare alone. They're going to gut it so bad that no doctor will accept Medicare. Now there are doctors that won't accept Medicare because Medicare pays so bad. Now, no one has talked about a, a single payer, and that's what you need with to save. You'd probably save 30 or 40% right off the top because you would tell them what they're going to make. The doctor would be happy with what he's making. He wouldn't need everybody in his office. He wouldn't have to pay 4 people to deal with 20 different insurance companies. Now, here's a little interesting fact. Of all the CEOs in the country, the highest paid last year was a CEO of an HMO that he was paid $146 million. Now, how in the hell can a company be competitive and pay a CEO $146 million? You know how many policies, health insurance policies, that takes just to pay him, let alone the few people underneath of him and the board? Well, before you have to sell tens of thousands of policies before a band-aid is made available and can be paid for. And that's the problem with Obamacare. That's the problem with the voucher system. That they think that as a senior they're going to send you a voucher for $6,000. All right. Well, I've been on Medicare now for 3 or 4 years, and and I have a supplemental cost me $239 to cover the 20% that Medicare doesn't. Now, before I got on Medicare, and this is 4 or 5 years ago, they it cost me $6,000 a year just for coverage. All right. Now it's probably the same insurance probably cost $8,000 a year, and who knows if I could even get it. See, I signed up for that when I was in my 50s. Now next year I'll be 70, and who knows what it would cost to insure a 70-year-old. They are throwing so many red herrings at you, and it is going to be impossible to get an honest word in because of people like the Koch brothers and this Sheldon Adelson. These people have spent hundreds of millions of dollars. In some areas, they buy up all the TV time, so the opposition has no time to explain their story. We are in a mess here in America, and it's the only thing. I'm sorry that, because I basically thought I wasn't going back up again, that I'm sorry to come back up with this kind of information, but this is what we're coming to. All right. Now here's an interesting little thing that I'll read to you, and then I'll let you go. Given his disdain for government bailouts, Mitt Romney has some awkward explaining to do, said Robert Greene, a reporter for Rolling Stone, has obtained documents that show Romney demanded and got $10 million handout from the government in the early days of Bain and Company, the private equity firm that launched his career in 1991. The documents show Bain was on the brink of financial collapse. Romney's responded partly by forcing banks to swallow painful losses on their loans to Bain. He did this by invoking a bizarre clause Bain inserted into loan documents that allowed the company's executives to collect fat bonuses before paying their debts to banks. Rather than get nothing of the $30.6 million Bain owed a troubled bank, the Federal Deposit Insurance Company agreed to take a $10 million loss. The fact that FDIC is financed by the banks rather than direct taxpayers probably makes the word bailout a stretch, but the embarrassing fact remains Romney helped save Bain from bankruptcy by getting an 8-figure gift from the government. Now, this story not only appeared in Rolling Stone, it appeared in The Week and it appeared in The Economist. So this is the truth. Now, he can bitch and moan about government bailouts, but any corporation that guarantees that the CEOs and their underlings get bonuses before debts are paid is a corporation that shouldn't have been allowed to be a corporation in the first place. This is the kind of crooked crap, and what he wants to he wants to maintain the 1/10 of 1% being next to tax free. He paid 14%. He says he's never paid less than 13. Well, and then he turns around and says, I take every legitimate deduction I can. Anybody would. But then last year he didn't take every legitimate deduction because it would have put him below 13%. Now, if you and me made $104,000, we'd pay 15.86% on A3, on Social Security and Medicare. Now, a person making $1 million only pays 2.6%. A person making $100 million only pays 2.6%. Now, why in the hell should should they get a 13% tax break after $104,000? It doesn't make any sense. And the same thing doesn't make sense where they say we can't, until we know what the tax situation is, we can't hire anybody. Well, that's a bunch of crap because I employed, no, I didn't have a big, I had a little company. I employed 6, 7 people at a time. And if I needed somebody else, it was because I was going to make money on them. I never employed anybody that I wouldn't make money on or wouldn't have made any sense for my little business. So if I needed somebody, regardless of whether I was being taxed at 2% or 20% or 40%, I would have made more money by hiring another person than I go out and hire them. So this is another red herring. That this is, I cannot believe Obama went to that first debate and he was like a deer in the headlights. I've never seen such a terrible performance in my life. There were so many things he could have brought. He could have brought that article up. Can his advisors be so ignorant that Rolling Stone, The Economist, and The Week can carry that article, and I can know about that article, and you can know about that article, but his advisors don't know about that article? This is absolute bullshit. And that's the only reason I'm sorry I came back. And I hope I don't have to come back again. And I hope I get a few, 2 or 3 votes as a writing candidate for the second district, if I can get any coverage. The newspapers don't want to cover it. So I'll keep you informed maybe on that, and we'll see how things develop. But by all means, if you know anybody in South Jersey, uh, uh, please, by all means, send them this and get involved, because ask your congressman if they signed the Grover Norquist, and if so, tell them that they might be prosecuted for sedition. That their responsibility is to the Constitution, and it is not to Grover Norquist, it's not to the Koch brothers, and it's not to Sheldon Addison. So please get involved. I've had my sign out for 10 years. That, I guess, uh, hasn't done any good, but it makes it easy for people to find the house. So please let me hear from you. I only heard, yes, and I've been off the air for 3 months now, and I've only heard from about 5 of you. So I guess that was my following. So I hope at least the 5 of you please leave some comments and let me know what you think. Have a good weekend.